You may have heard about Skunk, the Mills A locomotive that was famously recovered from the South Mole in Whanganui after being buried in the sand for decades. Well, did you know that she's not the only New Zealand engine to have been buried near the sea for a long time? This video is about another little known machine that's been abandoned at a beach out west of Auckland for 140 years. There isn't much information on this locomotive, but what we do know is that she was built in 1872 by Messrs Fraser Tinne of Onehunga, a suburb of Auckland, for the tramway from Grahamstown to Tararau. Grahamstown is now known as Thames. She was allegedly the first locomotive built in New Zealand, and her design involved two vertical cylinders mounted on the front of her smokebox, with said cylinders driving the front wheels by means of a cross-frame crankshaft, whatever that means, and gearing. After the tramway's closure in 1874, the engine apparently sat unused until helping with foreshore reclamation work in Thames between 1879 and 1881. She eventually found her way to the Karekau mill on the Piha Tramway, and was fitted with a collapsible funnel for working through the tramway's tunnel and under overhanging rock ledges. If my research is correct, the Karekau mill was managed by a man named Charles Primrose Murdoch and used machinery from the nearby Padraha mill, which burned down in 1881. Timber from Karekau was hauled by the Fraser Tinne engine to Whatipu Wharf, from which it was shipped to other parts of New Zealand or other countries. Karekau mill remained productive until 1886, when it closed due to a downturn in the kauri timber trade. The Fraser Tinne engine was put up for sale in that same year, but there were no buyers, so she was just left on the abandoned line across Karekare Beach, and is still there to this day. However, she has been completely buried under shifting sand dunes since the 1960s. For reference, Karekare Beach is around 38 kilometres west of central Auckland, and it would take 56 minutes to drive there from the city centre. Apparently, there were plans to recover the Fraser Tinne engine, or what's left of it, at some point, but they obviously haven't come to fruition. Of course, if the engine ever was recovered, I very much doubt that she'd be restored to working order, but it would still be cool to see her again in any case. Special thanks to the Kiwian Trainspotting for letting me use his present-day photographs of the engine's location. I'll include a link to his channel in the description. Now that I think about it, the Fraser Tinne engine reminds me of this thing that I found at the East Coast Museum of Technology, near Gisborne. So there you have it, an attempt at telling the story of the Fraser Tinne engine that's buried at Karekare Beach. Essentially, she's the lesser-known version of Skunk in Whanganui. The Fraser Tinne engine is a very obscure part of New Zealand's railway history, but I would argue that she is still interesting in her own right, and I hope you've learned something from watching this video. If you've stuck around to the end, you win a nocturnal animal that plays a sport in which you might hit a ball for 6. It's the cricket bat.